Okay. All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much for all of the participants who has come here to watch our presentation. And then I would like to say thank you very much for our lecturer, that is Mr. Andrena Gafar Membede. Thank you very much for giving us a chance to explain about objective teaching in ESP. Well, let me introduce ourselves. Well, we are from Group 9, actually the last group. And then my name is Muhammad Arif Hidayatullah, but most of my friends call me Arif. And then here's my friend Tiara Suchilastari. And then we're gonna explain about objective teaching in ESP. Here I'm gonna be a moderator and also the first speaker, and also Tiara will be the second speaker. Okay, without any further ado, let's go to the first topic. The first one is to reveal subject-specific language use. Well, here we're not talking about concept first. The focus of this chapter is to maximize the use of linguistic and language use. So the linguistic also brought to life for pedagogy. It is focused on teaching that is used demonstration of forms and features. So basically, in this topic, we're gonna learn about how much important about linguistic and language skill, and it's gonna be supported by the features and forms in this field. And also we're gonna mix between the language skills for and linguistic, and also with the objective in ESP. Okay, well, here I'm gonna explain about the research and application here. Well, Bethia in 1982 suggested that teachers should discuss about the organization of text with the students to highlight the structure of the text and demonstrate the language of qualification in legal writing. He also suggested that teachers should simplify the way they teach and make it more transparent to the students. Right? So the first one have to focus on organization of text, writing demonstration, and also teaching simplification, the one that I've mentioned before. You have to make the lesson, become simple and also transparent to the students. And also, I'm quoting from Wharton, 1999. Learners find a problem on academic and professional writing. Okay, because it is not only about conceptual understanding, but also norms, social attachment, and frameworks of reasoning. So it's not only about language skills, and it's not only about linguistic that we've learned in the class, but also about the norms that we have to pay attention, and also the social attachment we have to be aware of that, and also the frameworks of reasoning. When we get into writing, we do really have to understand about the reasoning. Every cause we'll always have the reason. So we have to, make it clear the reason or reasoning, and also the framework itself. And also learning genres tends to be mastered late even in one first language. So to be mastered in learning some genres, it is, hard to learn even for the one that have the first language or English as a first language, just like that. And also the last one, it is difficult for teachers to communicate the nature of genre to those who are unfamiliar with it. So yeah, for the first language speaker, it's hard. How about us? About the second speaker? It's gonna be, a lot harder than the first one. And when we are unfamiliar with that, it's gonna be our homework, our new homework, our task to be solved, just like that. The next subject is the next topic. Yeah, the next topic is to develop target performance competences. Here in this chapter, actually, the main focus is to help people understand about the use of language and skills that they have. It is included in competency-based occupational educational that helps people to fill the help of company to be an employee that could mix between skill language that I've mentioned before and then also the linguistic. In this chapter, ESP work as a tool to fulfill people needs and expectation to satisfy the target of environment. So basically, we're going to be, like to mix our skill in ESP, like to make it more specific, to get a job, yeah, to become an employee, just like that. Here, Munby, 1978, said that he focused on communicative in ASP, even though it is failed in many fields. However, there are methods that brings in the course communicative events and speech. Actually, Munby ever thought that this communicative way is gonna be, be something in the future, but eventually it is failed because um not every job filled filled by the way we communicative, like it is the way to communicate in a static way. For example, as a air traffic control, that's systematic communicative, but in another job it's it's not that systematic but dynamic, just like that. And then in research and application, Bull 1994 said that reports that an ESP project developed by the British Council for Bank Tellers in an Arabic-speaking country, they use the ESP class to build the employee that bank needs. Now, the method they that use in this field is, or in this class, in the ESP class, is eliciting questions, filling the form, doing role play between bank tellers and customers, and also the last one is feedback. Feedback is the most important because when they are or the students having some trouble in a class or having some some um what is that, some lack in knowledge or lack of practice, the teacher in the SP class could give them feedback to be better, just like that. And also, well, the last topic that I brought here is to teach underlying knowledge. Here, I'm going to explain about the use in a second language or second and foreign language for workplace or study purposes requires not only linguistic proficiency and knowledge, but also knowledge and understanding of work-related and disciplinary concept. Disciplinary concept. I'm highlighting the disciplinary concept right here because, like I've mentioned before, it's not only about linguistic or languages, but it's also about a disciplinary concept and also the knowledge itself. Where here, Douglas 2000, specific purpose language ability result from interaction between specific purpose background knowledge and language ability. So the background knowledge that we have, it is mixed between the language ability that we have, and these two we're going into the same purpose, just like that. Water 1895, sorry, also said that the term underlying competencies in ESP referred to disciplinary concept from the student field of study, right? So, um, the previous one or the previous skills that I've mentioned before will not work or will not go anywhere if there's no disciplinary in the class of ESP. And last one is Dinham and Streeter, 1986. They're like, the field of professional education recognized the need to introduce learners to ways of thinking and transforming the student gestalt from confusion to familiarity. So basically, it's how the way the teacher in the SP class make it more simple, like I mentioned before, and make the confusion that shouldn't have to familiarity, just like that. And also, the last one is research and application. Gymnast 2001. It's actually talking about the method, or no, it's the practice in the SP class, but in cross-cultural study of business negotiation strategies. Well, here, the study focused on the strategy of negotiators from a range of countries negotiating with an import and export. So basically, as like the class to do negotiation between one to another countries. So in this class, it's kind of the same with the bank tellers before. So the method that is used is teaching focus on conceptual and cultural knowledge, and the one that is the same actually the role play. But here, the teaching focus on conceptual and cultural knowledge is we do really have to understand about the knowledge of the cultural and also the concept, because we are like having some trouble with the culture, because we live in one country, for example, and we are communicating with other countries that like completely have different culture with us. So we're going to learn about that in a ASP class as cross-cultural to negotiate in business. The last one is Hutchinson and Waters in 1985. you know like um that proposed that ESP classroom was the appropriate place to introduce students to concept from their disciplines, in addition to the language the student would need to express this concept. So basically, this one or the last one is how the way the students express what they've learned in a class, just like that. Well, thank you very much. Out of out of first speaker, I'm gonna throw it to the second speaker. Well, Tiara, time is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, in this material, to develop strategic competence, it means actually the concept is regarding this strategic competence. It already exists in the definition of language ability in the language testing literature. So, in this case, Douglas 2000 proposed a three-part model of specific purpose language abilities, including, as you can see, a language knowledge. It's mean like grammatical, textual, functional of, or sociolinguistic. And the second one is background knowledge. And the last one is strategic competence. It means like assessment of the external contents and engaging a discord domain. So, regarding strategic competence, Dowles state that this strategic competence act as a mediator between the external situations context, and the internal language and background knowledge needed to respond to communicative situations. So it can be concluded that strategic competence is the link between text of situation and language knowledge, and can be defined as the means that enables language knowledge and contents knowledge to be used in communications. So to develop strategic competence here is based on the general understanding that the role of ESP is to help students adjust to their uh, their target academic, professional, or workplace environment. And next slide, please. All right. For research and application in here, it is actually developed the team teaching approach proposed by W event and ST John, 1998, that ESP, that ESP learners bring to language learning a knowledge of their own specialist field and communications in it. This purpose of this is to create opportunities for students to actualize the knowledge that students already have, which is a subject knowledge that students already have into the target language. So the approach involved three parties in teaching. The first one is the EAP, or we know that is English for Academic Purpose Teachers. and then the subject specialist and the students. So in here, the teacher's role is as a mediator between language and subject knowledge by providing the language needed to express content. It means the subject specialist gives information as needed on point of content, and the language teachers help with any language point arising. So that's it about to develop strategic competence. Please next slide. All right. And here about to foster critical awareness. So the concept in here is uh, uh, based on Bennett's 2001 and Pennycook 1997, argue that prevent of a critical approach challenges the idea that technique should promote the communicative norms of the target environment and lead students to accept these norms uncritically. So actually ESP is most often seen as a pragmatic attempt that helps students become familiar with established communicative practice. So in this case, Benes explained that this yep says describe critical approaches as a reaction to the pragmatic ESP or EAP perspective that changing existing form is unrealistic, whereas promoting them is practical. So the purpose of to foster critical awareness is that language education in terms of ESP tries to help learners develop critical language awareness. The advantage of such awareness is that learners will be positioned to be choose which language practice they wish to engage in and which they wish to modify or reject. It means critical language awareness should equip them with the capacities of understanding which are preconditions for meaningful choice and effective citizenship in the domain of language. So how about research and applications? Well, next slide, please. Okay, in here, EAP studies have set out to investigate the diverse way of thinking in the attempt to move away from autonomous view of academic values. So, autonomous views here means that education has the same functions or set of functions in every society, that there is one possible set of behaviors appropriate for all systems of higher education that can be used to evaluate the adequacy adequacy of any educational enterprise. So Benes 1996 report on her implementation of critical needs analysis and right analysis in ES, prior ESL writing or psychology class in the United States. Benes argued that the need for EAP to have a dual focus. His dual focus of compliance and resistance allows students to choose which aspect they want to accept and which they might challenge. In Bennett's study, it was revealed that the students found the amount of reading required in one of their psychology papers unmanageable. So this led Bennett's to provide conventional EAP support in the form of classroom reading skill activities and to try to improve the situation by arranging for the psychology professor to visit the EAP class for a discussion on one of the topics covered in the psychology curriculum. In addition, Ben's attempt to raise the students' social awareness and transform their perception of themselves. So Venice the sixth then seeks to determine how students assert their right in relation to the psychology course requirement in the second study. In his second study, here Venice asked EAP students to write a letter to the professor. It is to suggesting modification that will encourage them to act more constructively. As a result, he used EAP teaching to create tools that students can use to change the situation in which they find themselves. So I think that's it about the foster critical awareness. Thank you, and I give it again to moderator.
Thank you very much for Tiara. And there's actually now some presentation, and hope you guys get something from our presentation before. Well, finally we are like arrived in our last session, that is the what is that? Closing. Thank you very much for watching our presentation, and the last we say, as the same on screen, thank you. Well, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.